Still sitting in a truck seat that's older than your favorite pair of work boots? Your back has been filing complaints for years. If your seat is worn out, sagging, or just plain uncomfortable, it's time for an upgrade. Head on over to seatspecialist.com. Check out their selection of quality replacement seats built to keep you comfortable mile after mile. And don't forget to use promo code TR10 4U to save 10% on your order. Seatspecialist.com, because a better ride starts with a better seat.
All right. So, welcome to That's Delivered podcast. Today, we're thrilled to have a special guest with us, Colby Varley, the co-leader at ATS. That's at Advanced Transportation Services. We're thrilled to dive into the intricate world of the refrigerated transportation. This company has been around for 40 years and driving excellence in non-asset-based freight logistics with expertise in managing time-sensitive loads, adapting to industry shifts, and building strong supply chain relationships. Colby's journey offers insights that resonate with everyone from truckers to grocery chain managers. We'll dive deep into the challenges, strategies, and innovations driving this essential sector. Colby, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you doing?
Good, excellent. Thank you so much for having me. Honored to be on with you.
And it is a pleasure to have you here too, and we look forward to sharing the insights you have with all of the listeners. Wanted to dive deep into the challenges of the reefer logistics. I mean, talk to us a little bit about that. So, when it comes to refrigerated transportation, it always has high stakes. I mean, a lot of the product that's on there can be very expensive. Can you explain why reliability is so critical, especially now that global supply chain disruptions are out there?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. With refrigerated transportation, especially highly perishable food and produce, with what we specialize in, a lot of it's dated. So getting it to the shelf on time to where the consumer has an adequate amount of time to purchase it, take it home, leave it in the fridge. It's still good for a few days, or a week. So, getting it there as quickly as possible to give the customer the most amount of time to enjoy that product is the name of the game. And with that comes some challenges and some headache and some heartache, but we really strive to do the best that we can and have a reputation of doing so.
Nice. And how do you ensure
Yeah.
that ATS is consistent when it meets those reliability standards? I mean, that's got to be hard too.
Yeah, so it really comes down to our vendors. Without them, we're nothing. We've been doing it for 40 years. We have a handful of carriers that have been with us those 40 years. We really value the relationship of a great carrier. We're not the load board guys. We're not looking for the one and done or the cheapest truck we can find. Just for our business niche, that you're not going to be successful. We go, we visit with our vendors, we see what kind of equipment they have, we look at their operation, just the service level that we expect. If we're not getting it, it's probably not going to work out for us and our customer. And it's a two-way relationship with our vendor and our customer. So keeping that in mind and for the best interests of all parties, that's really enabled us to develop those long-standing, solid relationships to help drive us to
Nice.
to hold the standard.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
The steps to take to maintain integrity for temperature sensitive. I mean, I used to do HVAC and
Okay.
it goes down. I mean, that's a huge bill or a huge claim for the insurance for temperature sensitive freight. I mean, you got those reefers running nonstop. Hopefully they never, mess up the load. Man, so what steps do you take to maintain that integrity?
Yeah. So going back to kind of the last question, it really comes down to our vendors. We really try and put our feet on the ground, meet with them, look at their equipment, see their equipment. From our experience, you have a pretty good idea or understanding of someone's operation or their equipment just by going to their yard, going to their office, going to their shop. We've seen everything from the A+ rated guys to, the probably D and F guys, and you kind of learn in between and see things that say, hey, like that's important to my customer, or Maybe that carrier should be working on this, they're not doing that, and just having that in place, that's the biggest. The next thing is just doing it. From me being a driver hauling refrigerated freight, like I understand some tips and tricks, and we really push that on to the vendors that we work with, and even down to the driver. I mean, we're pretty driver sensitive. We like to speak with the driver. We want to dispatch the driver, explain to them how to pulp the product. If it's pulping in the incorrect temperature, it's an all stop, call us, let us get involved. So really, from what we've gathered is, as long as you put it on the correct set point and you pulp that product and it's good when you put it on the truck, very minimal issues. I mean, we are very blessed to um, not have a lot of claims just because of the effort that we put in on the front end to make sure that, the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed.
Man, so how bad does it get? I mean, maybe is there something you could share, like a story or some red flags that just go off when you go to check out a vendor or a carrier?
Yeah, you can just tell by their equipment. You see, maybe a torn chute or chutes that aren't in great condition. You see reefers that aren't in great condition. Um, you know, Maybe they're just pulling in the yard and parking them. Then you see other guys that their operation, as soon as that truck hits the lot, it's getting an inspection from their mechanic on site. And then they got one side of the yard has loaded trailers that they're monitoring the temperature for the trucks to come, the long haul drivers to grab those trailers and goes. The other side of the lot is all the empty trailers, washed out, clean, inspected, ready to for the local driver to come pick it up and go pick up a load. So and everything in between. So when you see that kind of extra um, standard operating procedure that a carrier is putting in place on the front end, it makes us be able to go to a customer with confidence.
Nice. I mean, you got even Thermo King itself. I mean, that's a huge company to be in a partnership with. What is it like working with those guys?
Yeah, so Thermo King, Carrier, either one, we've I'd say we have a pretty robust network of experts in the field nationwide. I'll say that if there is an issue, they seem to be pretty much everywhere nowadays, which is very helpful. Obviously, if it's in the middle of the night or something like that, you really got to pay, but it's probably more beneficial to pay that overtime fee to get someone to come down and make sure that that unit's operating correctly when there's a $250,000 load of blueberries on there rather than just chance it. So it's, just knowing what to do, Thermo King, they'll work with you.
Great. So the refrigerated transportation market is expected to grow significantly in 2027. It says the experts are saying. So what do you think this will do to the industry? How will it impact it as a whole?
Hopefully, it gets a little better on the carrier side. I can tell you all the experts in the world seem to think that this deal's turning around. We just went through another round of bidding, and I didn't feel that. I felt like there was still a heavy demand to push down on the rates, even coming in at what we thought was competitive. Still, heavy downward force from the industry, which we're not the cheapest game in town. That is not our business model. We're not trying to be that, but we do understand that there is some happy medium for the customer to stay competitive. But we really do believe that you're going to pay for what you get for, or you're going to get what you pay. So if you're looking for rock bottom pricing, you're probably going to get rock bottom service.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a old saying, you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
Are there areas where you see opportunities for small carriers or independent truckers to capitalize on the growth potential?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as hard as it is out there, I feel like there's just an abundance of opportunity, and it's just really what you make of it. Nobody's going to hand it to you. It's not given out for free. You really got to put the work in and go get it. But it seems like daily, there's just more and more opportunity available. I feel that's out there that anybody can go and get, whether you're a small asset based carrier, 3PL, non-asset based, whatever the case is. The opportunities there.
Okay. Thinking about technology, staying adaptable in changing industry. In logistics, the industry requires consistent adaptability. How has ATS managed to stay ahead of that curve? Maybe technology or something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I can tell you from a technology standpoint, we were actually behind. We were behind the curve and we were starting to feel it. And 2 years ago, we made a decision that we weren't going to be behind the curve anymore. So we ended up making some substantial investments in some technology to get us, to where we can be at a level playing field with some other non-asset based carriers that are kind of in our space. And it's been a substantial investment. I believe it has paid off. I believe that technology was long kind of overdue in our business, and it's been, kind of really, really fast because I think the tech or the industry as a whole was behind. We were behind. But the more that we're kind of open to it, it's been really helpful. I don't think that it's gonna um, replace a human being in what we do, but I think it'll definitely make human beings in our office more readily available for things that customers care about, like customer service, or dealing with a vendor, um, and having that technology help with maybe some tasks that a bot or AI can kind of do with some oversight of a human.
Nice. I mean, it's good to see that humans still have a factor. A lot of automation coming through, and people get worried, about job security. But it's nice to know there's an industry that there's still a lot of stability for the human factor. I mean, what advice would you give other companies for the uncertainty? Let's say, what advice would you give them, the professionals facing similar uncertainties in the industry?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And the best way that I've kind of found to answer that, obviously that's something that I think about, but at the end of the day, you just have to remember that everybody's in the same boat. Nobody really knows, so it's not like somebody else has an advantage or a disadvantage. Yeah, someone might have some sort of sonar freight wave technology that's predictability or something of that nature, but at the end of the day, nobody really knows with 100% certainty what's going to happen, how it's going to happen, when it's going to happen, how violently it's going to happen. So, I think just trying to remember that, nobody knows. Everybody's in the same boat. You just got to make the best decisions with the information that you have at that time. And if it changes, then be open to change, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the relationships we build with each other is so critical. You never know when we need each other. So, I mean, I think that's the critical factor that people tend to forget. It's like
100%. It's
when it
this is
comes
a
back.
this is a people business.
Yeah, for sure. That's what drives the consumer. Uh,
Yeah.
I went to a place the other day, got my snow tires put on, and
Uh-huh.
the service was phenomenal. I mean, I stood in
Okay.
line, but once I got helped, the
Yeah.
so good that I forgot about being in line. It was nice,
Right.
and
That's awesome.
yeah. So I think customer service is on the comeback. I'm
Oh,
hopeful.
couldn't agree more with you. Couldn't
Yeah,
agree more.
the value is huge because you're adding to the experience, and people want a good experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So building
Absolutely.
up strong supply chain relationships. How do you balance client demands with maintaining collaborative partnerships? I know you mentioned we got on the call. I mean, it was a busy day for you putting out fires, and you still got to keep those relationships going. How do you do that?
Yeah, you just put your best foot forward, and what we're looking to do is we want everybody to win. We want our customers to win. We want our carriers to win. We want to win. And when you have that kind of mindset, and your vendors and your customers know that that's your mindset, you can get a lot of things done. When people aren't worried about you trying to pull one over on them, or you're going to get one over on them on this one, and they're going to have to tit for tat and get you back, um, things really seem to fall in place. So going back, it is a people business. Being able to work with people, obviously, working with so many people, just try not to take anything personal. Emotions can get pretty heated, things can get heated. Don't take it personal. Let it roll off your back. Live to fight another day, and just kind of having that kind of mindset, and doing the right thing. People know when you're doing the right thing, um, and obviously when they keep coming back, that's kind of their way of showing that appreciation of you doing the right thing.
Let's say something happens, there's a disruption. Um, how do you guys handle that to rebuild trust or those relationships with something you remember you can share?
Yeah, sure. So just I mean, claims happen. That's probably one of the bigger ones that are a little bit difficult to work through. Just looking at all the facts, laying it all out, and not looking at could be's or what was. Like, hey, here's what we have. This is factual data. This is what the temp recorder said. This is what the download said. This is what the USDA federal inspection said. Like, this is concrete detail. And making that decision off of the information that we have, not what we want to think or what they want us to do. And sometimes that means sticking up for your carrier, which can be very difficult in a freight market like this. I don't want to say battling, but having a hard conversation with your customer that hey, we're not in the wrong here, and here's why.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of ways to work those things out. When you got a customer that you're doing work with all the time, or a carrier that you're doing work with all the time, there's a lot of ways to bury things like that over the course of a year. Um, so just being open to different ways of mitigating those, or working them out between each other. And that's the best way that we've found, is just being fair, looking at the facts, and even when it's hard,
Yeah.
sometimes it can be very, very hard.
I like that. Look at the
Yeah.
year. Don't look at just what happened. Let's look at the a span of time that we've been working together. Yeah.
Yeah. And how can we work this out? Right. I mean, if you do 5,000, 6,000 loads a year, and you got one that's got an issue, it's pretty easy to just, hey, let's bury this over the course of the year, or something like that. I mean, there's a lot of ways. There's a
Nice.
ton of ways.
Yeah, that's a true leader, taking those faults and failures and owning them instead of trying to brush them off on someone else. I like that. And just explaining what happened. Your career spans from truck driving to strategic leadership. I mean, how has your hands-on experience as a driver influenced the way you lead today?
Yeah. So kind of from the driver's seat to the C-suite. Um, I'm blessed, man, to have the opportunity that I had to start on, rock bottom. I didn't know anything about refrigerated trucking. I learned from the bottom up, every facet of, from being a driver to being a forklift driver, to loading, to building loads, to delivering loads, dispatching, load planning, customer service, sales. So when you have the opportunity to kind of start from the bottom and learn, every little different position within the not the supply chain, but within, from driving and delivering and sales and leadership, you just, you can visualize it in your mind. When a lot of these places that we go to, like I've delivered there, I've picked up from, I know, someone's trying to tell me something that's like, sir, I've been to that facility, like I think you're at the wrong one, or, you're at the wrong check-in, or whatever the case may be. But having that real world experience is just, invaluable.
Yes, it is, man. And it shows it, especially for your drivers, when they see that, I mean, they're more inclined to follow someone like that as a leader and trust them. I mean, it's, I don't know, man. It's, builds that trust, that you can't replace. And that somebody
Yeah.
comes in the seat and tries to take the helm. Well, you don't know what we're going through down here on the bottom. I mean,
Yeah.
speaks volumes. I'm not saying that no one can't do that, but you already got that head start when you do it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And if, you ask me to jump in a 18 speed right now, you know what I mean? I could click them off, no problem.
Yeah.
So it's been a little while, but I'm sure, it's just like riding a bike. You
Yeah,
get
I
it.
love it. I love driving.
Yeah.
That's how I got into the industry. I said, man, what is it that I love to do? And it's like driving. So
Yeah.
I just make that a career, right?
That's it.
Yeah. So that's huge, man. So one of the most uh, impactful lessons you've learned throughout the career in logistics. Can you share a little bit of that with the listeners?
Yeah. So something that I kind of got beaten to my brain, early on was, if you're not good at it, don't say that you are. Obviously, customers are calling all the time looking for this or looking for that. And when you're trying to, be a new business, or, a young salesperson, you're probably saying yes to a lot of things. And you might end up wasting your time trying to cover or do something that you have no business doing. And not only are you going to waste your time, you're going to end up wasting your customer's time. And ultimately, you probably are going to fail and let that customer down. And when you get that opportunity with a customer, you literally have one shot. So you better make sure that when you're given that time to take your shot, that you know what you're doing. Um, so just staying in our lane, you can see people, they'll go from reefer to hopper to drive in to flatbed to step deck, heavy haul, they're all over the place. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not telling somebody how to run their business, but what we've found is staying in our lane, staying in our niche, specializing in a certain area and trying to be the best at it has helped us substantially grow our business.
Awesome. Man, that's huge. That's a great lesson to learn. I think I was told that as well. If it's something you want to do when it comes to business, it need to be one thing that you provide and you need to do it well. So
Right.
that's huge. I mean, especially niching
Yeah,
down. That's great. Um,
absolutely.
so in the industry, innovations and the road ahead, technology is transforming logistics. We talked a little bit about that. How has ATS leveraged innovations to like telematics, data analysts, or to improve efficiency and service on that particular aspect?
Yeah, so going back to when we talked about technology a little bit earlier, 2 years ago, we made a commitment. We were kind of behind the ball on a few items, and we made the commitment to improve those and just staying current with the current technology that's kind of uh, normalized, I guess, that they expect you to have, having that, making sure that it's running well, and always just kind of keeping your eyes open. I'm pretty open. You get a tech sales, hey this, hey that, like I'm interested. I want to see what is it. I might, I'm probably not going to buy it, but I'm just trying to keep an open mind with a lot of these new technology companies that are specific to transportation and how that can help um, with what we have. But what we've really kind of looked at as, you go get a new robust TMS. There's so much capability with those. And really, we've kind of not stepped back, but said, hey, let's look at what we have and make sure that we're using it to its full potential before we go put something else on top of that. Because a lot of these, TMSs, they're great, they're awesome. They have so many different options and add-ons and whatnot. But it's like if we can't use the basic stuff well, then there's no point in adding to our tech stack.
Nice. Yeah, it's another expense, another thing that you never know.
Yeah, absolutely,
A problem.
absolutely.
And speaking with the hot topic, I mean, it may not be much for reefers, but what do you think about autonomous trucks and the role it plays for the future of logistics?
I think there's probably a place for it. I don't think it's in highly perishable food and produce. I think, perhaps something dry that doesn't, isn't critical, has a long shelf life. Customers have a ton of it on hand. And I think in certain areas, I think in a long stretch, maybe from Kingman, Arizona out to Oklahoma City, somewhere in there on I-40, or somewhere off of I-10 from Tucson to Dallas. Maybe there's some opportunity there. Obviously, there's got to be some infrastructure um, with some sort of yard kind of out in those areas on both sides. But there could be some opportunity there for something that's not critical to, be trucked across parts of the United States in an area that's not super inhabited, um, to, relieve some pain. I'm not looking to go 100%. Obviously, I'm human first. I really believe in humans can do a better job, but I think, there could be some opportunity there in that niche area.
Nice. Yeah, I think so too. And that's been a consistent answer for a lot there. So yeah, just kind of fight back on some of the misinformation that's put out there. Some people think it's going to take over, but it's good to hear from the experts themselves that what their take is, what the future is going to look like. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, as someone deeply involved in the reefer logistics, what's one misconception that you think you can speak on or you would like to address?
That not all brokers are bad. You can go on social media and it just seems like the brokers just get trashed, trash talked, and I get it. In every industry, in every profession, there's bad actors. They're out there. You're never going to get rid of them. But there are still a lot of good non-asset based brokerages that carriers are aligned with that, they make a living. That's a great customer for them. And they're not easy to find. I mean, like us, we don't post a lot of freight. So, we probably post maybe 2% if we're hung out somewhere, can't get a truck. So unless you get like a referral or who we are, you're not going to find us on the board. So that's probably for a lot of other good brokerages that have good carriers that work with them on a consistent basis. They don't need to post their freight. They're not looking to post their freight. That's not their business model. Um, so I think that probably answers that pretty well.
Yeah, it does. Thank you for speaking on that. And where can our listeners connect with you or ATS to learn more about the work you guys are doing or approaching in the future for logistics? Um, Something you want to share for them to reach out to you and get the word.
Yeah, so I'm on all social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube. I mean, we're all on there. And then also you can go to our website, advancedtransportationservices.com. Um, Send me an email, call my office, multiple ways to get a hold of us.
That's awesome, man. Getting it done. Is
Yeah.
would you like to share with the listeners before we wrap it up? Something you can give a shout out to truckers out there or anything else you want to do?
Yeah, I just want to appreciate everyone. I'm not sure when this is going to go out, but we're recording the week of Thanksgiving. So I appreciate everybody in the supply chain that's unable to be with their families on this holiday. I know that's tough. We really, really appreciate it. Um, you're doing America a great service, and thank you.
Simply put, right? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
And thank you guys for working hard behind the scenes as well. All the things that you do that we can't do while we drive. I think it's huge. It gets missed. Sometimes it looks like, you know, the driver is against the person in the office, but really, if we work together, we can bring about some great things. So, Colby, thank you
absolutely.
so much. Yeah, it's been an
Thank
absolute
you.
pleasure having you on the show. Your insights into the refrigerated transportation, building supply chain, building those relationships, staying adaptable in a changing industry is invaluable. Really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah. And to our listeners, make sure you follow Colby and ATS for more updates and logistics innovations. Doing a great job out there. So stay tuned. Follow us if you like. Give us the feedback if you need it. Send reviews. We appreciate that, or any ideas for a show that's coming up. So until next time, that's delivered.
Are you a trucker looking for a safe and reliable place to park? Look no further than Truck Parking Club. With locations across the country, we've got the perfect spot waiting for you, whether it's daily or long-term parking. And right now, use promo code DELIVERED at checkout for an exclusive discount. Reserve your spot today at truckparkingclub.com and drive stress-free, knowing your parking is covered.